Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. And oh hey, looks like the chat's working again. Nice, I didn't even do anything, so I guess it wasn't my fault that it wasn't working. Glad to hear it. Alright. Oh, hello there, Protox. Welcome back. And now I suppose I'll just get into starting to render things here. Because, yeah, I looked at things again here. And I think everything's looking pretty okay with the curtains being translucent. I think I'm just gonna handle all of their stuff later. And I just want to get right into making the character look nice. For that, I gotta turn off the sun. Sun is in the way again. Okay. So I've been thinking about how I want to tackle this. Let me see, is there any... I'm just gonna double check proportions and stuff, but no, I think everything's alright. Kinda leaning back. I think I'm gonna have to care a little bit more about this arm, but you know what, I think I'm gonna deal with that later. The length and general angle looks fine, it's just shenanigans. I just want to make sure that, you know, when I turn on my lights again and we can clearly kind of see the arm through the sleeve like this, that it looks fine. Right now, I think it looks a little weird. But that's about it. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna jump right into making things look nice, and that's gonna start with the veil thing. Also, I need to get rid of the wings here, because they will also kind of get in the way of things. Design has a lot of white on it. So, anything that's white kind of gets in the way. It's a little bit unfortunate. Okay. Let me see here. Where is... Okay, there it is. I've been looking at this, and I'm like, you know, this side is kind of okay. I don't really know what's going on over here. They don't match. So that's gonna be a thing. Yeah, definitely a thing. What do I want to do about that anyway? So I think the way I'm gonna have to do this is I'm gonna start drawing with the trim itself and to get general shapes of stuff. Let's go ahead and unclip that for now. And I'm trying to look at this. I think, yeah, I need to change a few of these angles. Do I just want to start over? I might. Do I want to attempt to salvage this or just start again? That's kind of what I'm debating about right now. About how thin is this trim anyway? Oh, it's quite thin. So I already have it too thick. That's alright. That's easy to fix. But I also want to make sure it's sitting on her head well. Oh, do I have another... Yeah, I do have an atmosphere layer. Okay, there we go. The color was not quite right, and I realized I forgot to turn off a layer. Definitely need to have those layers off if I want to pick accurate colors. Okay. So, no, I think I'm gonna try to salvage. I don't think I need to, like, start over again. But I'll just be referencing her character design. Hopefully make it a little bit easier for me to pick out where certain things need to go. And unfortunately, I can just kind of do something like this. And just kind of redraw everything. I'm going to try to keep it as symmetrical as I can. This side, I probably can't really salvage. So I think, yeah, I'm just going to erase it. I think that'll be easier. So you can see, although I did try to salvage this side I decided was beyond saving. That happens. I just want to go with whatever is easier for me to handle. Okay, but I think that looks all right. I think I want to flatten here just a little bit. And I'm kind of glad that this trim is a slightly different color, just so I can use it to kind of define the edge here. So I think that will also make my life a little bit easier. Okay. So now that I kind of have this first bit in, I think I wanted to go a little further out. We're gonna let it blow in the wind just a little bit here. So now that I have that first bit in, I can start kind of figuring out how it rolls into this next wiggle. I guess to kind of describe how I'm thinking about it. It's like she has a head, right? Oh, it's never easy, but that's okay. It's way more satisfying that way. Yeah, you don't have to stay smiley. It's like... I don't know. It's okay to feel sad. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, let's see here. So, we have a head here. I'm just thinking of the way that this kind of connects here. And, you know, that's fine. Like I always say, I'm honored to be background music. So I know that I have, like, folds pulling. And since this is round here, not the same length all the way around, you get this kind of effect when it's like that. So I don't think that my doodle here helped this time, but that is kind of how I'm thinking about it. It's like it's there just sitting gently on her head. And I am just pulling the cloth around, so I'm just thinking real hard about how it's actually sitting there. Okay, and I'm gonna go back to my other layers here. So let's see, how do these actually connect? This part I think is easy. We just kind of see a little bit of this underneath part up here. And I think we see a little bit more of it than we otherwise would, since we are looking at her from slightly below. But I only kind of understand this structurally. And that's kind of the problem here. So I know that this part will definitely come out like this. But I don't think it connects to this corner. I don't think that makes sense. And I also don't want it to. I don't want it to cover her eyes very much. But I think this makes sense. And then same on this side, where it connects to this corner, but I don't think it quite connects to the other one. So I think we get something like this. I'm going to let it blow in the wind a little bit, so I'm going to curve it in there. I think that kind of thing looks nice. I will probably do the same to the gold a little bit more when the time comes. But right now I'm doing my best to kind of actually understand what I'm trying to draw here. You know, it's pretty good to know what I'm actually trying to accomplish. Very useful information. I'll say that much. Alright, and so this side is... I want this to sit on her head a bit more. So I think we get this kind of shape. Okay. So I think I get something like that, and then there'll be a fold here, and this kind of goes up, and this kind of defines the edge of the first flap, and I think that's looking pretty all right. This one I think is in a decent spot, so I do know that this is kind of flipping outward a bit, so I think I have this just out too much. And we're not going to worry about any of the things that stick out here. That's fine. I'll cull them later. Right now, I just want to understand what I'm doing. So if this is flipping, and I think we get a shape like this. And I don't know what color I want it to be yet. It doesn't really matter. I will fix the colors in a little bit. But that looks pretty nice. Okay. Let's fix some of the colors now. Because I do think that will help at this point. I'm glad I took some time to not worry about it. This is also why I said last time. This, you know, would probably be the first thing that I smoothed out, but it would also require a little bit more work in order to actually get it to look right. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I did not think I had it shaped very well. But now I'm taking a little bit of extra time just to understand what it is that I'm trying to draw. And I think it's helping. I really want to study clothes a little bit more thoroughly at some point. Maybe not in terms of studies, but in terms of sitting down and getting a better understanding of how they work. It's alright, I'm getting close to finishing the last off-stream drawing I want to finish for this year, and then, then I can make lots of other things happen. Okay, so here I'm just slightly adjusting the way it's sitting on her head. I wasn't quite happy with it. This side I'm not going to worry about quite so much. I still need to kind of adjust that. But I didn't feel like I was quite respecting the angles hard enough here. So I'm pulling them out a little bit more. I do want to make it look like it's blowing a little bit, so I feel like I need to send it out this way a little bit more. And on this side, I do feel like I need to pull this one in a little bit more. But like I said, I do not want it to cover her eyes, so I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful with that. But it's okay, I think what I'm gonna do is just make it so you can see all these little pleats going through here. They're just kind of doing that. I just need to make it so that it's pointing a little bit more toward the viewer, and so we see less of the backside here. And I think that will do exactly what I want it to do. That's why I started doing this side a little bit harder, because this side was actually a little bit easier to understand. At least for me. Just kind of worked out that way. But yeah, I think something like that, and then we just tone this back a little bit. And I think something like that might be correct. Just kind of clean up some of this. I don't mind if it covers her eye a little bit. I think that makes sense. I just don't want her to do it too much. Thinking about it, since I'm using the trim layer to kind of define the edge here, I don't think I actually need it to be clipped anymore. But yeah, so far so good, I'd say. Yeah, I like this. Okay. I think I am starting to understand, and I need to hide her other accessories. Because they are currently the same color as the trim I'm trying to work with. Alright. So now I'll just try to fill everything in, and you can see I'm kind of doing the outside where it, on the trim layer where it kind of curves around. Kind of defining the edge, and then the other part where it's a more structural and interesting in that regard. And kind of doing them at the same time. It makes it easier for me to understand it, personally. And as always, I just need to make sure that I actually understand what I'm trying to do. It's very helpful. Much more likely to lead to success if I actually understand. Yes, indeed. Okay. There we go. I feel like this is sitting on the top of her head very nicely now. It's all kind of, blowing in this direction over here. Just whoosh. Sound effects, as always, important. Don't skimp on the sound effects. They will help you. One of those weird esoteric things. But it gets your mind going in the right direction. So it is useful. Okay, and then this part is going to be kind of interesting because I think I want there to be one more bend. But afterwards, it's going to be going over her shoulder. So it's going to be pulled by the shoulder and not just dictated by her head and the blowing of the wind. So I think I want one more little pleat in here before I have it go over the shoulder. So I think I'll send it out right there. Does mean I'll have to adjust a little bit, but that's okay. No, that makes this one too small. Let's back up. Okay. This one a little stretched out. I think I can do something like this and have it work out, and I'll have to adjust the inside, of course, but you know, that's still okay. There we go. In this one, I still want to be pulled this direction, but it's going to be kind of fighting between the wind blowing it this way and her shoulder pulling it this way. So what I think we get is a little bit like this. And then it goes very much over here. And at this point, it is going to be pulled over by her shoulder. And I think it should be going behind the shoulder. So I'm just going to draw this far. No, I can't because the hair's in the way. Okay. I'll draw it all the way over then. I was going to say, I was going to draw it just not quite all the way over there. And then I would do the rest on this back layer that I have down here. You can see it. But no, there needs to be hair here. And the hair is going to be in front of that. So I'll just go ahead and draw it, and I will edit this after I draw her shoulders a little bit later. But I think this makes sense for this side. So yeah, let's clean up this side a little bit. See if I can get it looking just as good as this part right here. Seems like a good place to start. And then from there, let's try to understand this part here. So I think it does something like this. And let's see, I want this to be kind of coming out this way, all the way over here. So I think where it will connect is going to be something like this over here. And this will still be going behind the shoulder. I'll have to work on it. I agree. Purple is a fantastic color. Okay. I think this is all looking fine. So now I just kind of want to figure out how it actually sits on the top of her head here. So I think from here it'll go fairly smoothly. I don't think that there's going to be any particular lumps or drops. But I'm not sure about after that. Admittedly, I don't really know how these things work. I could probably look up some further reference, and I might. I might. Let me try to brush in what makes sense to me. See if I can make some degree of sense with it, but I don't know if I will be able to. Oh no, that's good. Okay, no, that's quite good. Okay, I was just, looking at the design up there real quick and seeing how her original artist kind of did it. And I mean, if I were to look up references, that's basically what I'd be doing, just looking to see what it looks like and how other people have handled this kind of pattern. but I think that this is correct. Yeah, so I think the cloth in the back actually stays pretty straight. It's just where it drapes over the front here that it gets all folded up. And it's a little different on this side, because this side, I don't think we see the entirety of the pleats for the most part. And then I'll probably put no. Well, I might put a small shadow back there, but no, probably not actually. I'm not sure if it makes sense for the type of lighting that I have. Yeah, this should be fine. I'll see if I change my mind. Give myself 5 minutes. Revisit that decision. Okay. So now I can start tackling the rest of this side. Just gonna kind of clean up some stuff through here, because it's kind of bothering me. Okay, so this part is interesting because... Actually, I'm just going to remove all of the front layer here, and I'm just going to handle everything else in the back. Yeah. I was going to say that this part is interesting because it needs to go behind the hair here. So it might actually make more sense to do more of this on my back layer. But for now, I will kind of let the hair pull this side a little bit. So as the hair is blowing, it'll pull on this, and you know, once I finish the hair there, I'll have to go back and kind of fix this up, but that's fine. And I do think that we'll probably see a little bit of the backside here, but I think I will handle that on the layer here. And for the rest, I will draw it over here. So we will have this little pleat here. I don't think we see quite that much of it. There we go. I think it's going to be mostly in shadow there. And I think we get something like that. I want to get parts of the backside in there just so I can make sure that I am doing it right. Always important information to have. But from there, I should be able to go ahead and render this, because I think this is looking all right. I think this looks pretty good. Although, no, I think I want to get those big star thingies that are sitting on top of it in there. I just had to get the structure of this more sane than what I had. Okay. I'm gonna hide the braids for a second. Kind of try to understand how this is gonna work. And I think it's just something like this. How far down does it go? I think I have it a little big there. Probably only to about there. And then it'll go into the back here. Okay. And I just fill in the rest of this with blue. I'm not going to make separate layers for this for now. We'll see if I regret my life choices or not, but for now, I'll just leave it like this. There we go. So something like that. I think that looks pretty good. I think that looks like a piece of cloth sitting on her head. I think I can be happy with this. And I like the way it interacts with the rest of her hair. Her hair does not look like it is clipping through it. And then, you know, that's pretty important. You don't want your hair clipping through things. That's just silly. Okay. So now I think I can start turning on her accessories again. So we'll start with these little star things. So let's see if I can figure out how those work. Okay. Yeah, and I definitely want to get those in before I finish rendering her veil here. So let's see. Yeah, they're just kind of sitting there, aren't they? Oh, wait. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. The forehead thing is connected to those. You know, I actually hadn't noticed. I thought that it was like a thing wrapping around her head, but no. This is sitting on top of the veil thing. Yeah, and the big reason that I thought that it wasn't like that is because it doesn't look that heavy, and it's not like pulling down the veil at all. It's anime magic. Okay. It's okay, this is why we double check these things, because you need a lot of information to draw things properly. It's kind of baffling sometimes. It scares me. It does. Okay. Alright, so this thing actually connected to that. In that case, I think I'm gonna put the forehead thing into the veil group. This way they can all be together. Because I'm gonna need this little chain to actually connect to those, which means I'm gonna have to basically redraw it, but that's fine. It's not exactly hard to draw. Alright. So how do these guys sit? Okay, I think I understand. So I want this guy to move over here a bit. I'm going to invert the color on the trim for now. Actually, before I even do that, I want to get some basic shadows on it. Because this part should be like underneath, and there's probably going to be a little bit of shadow going on here, but not necessarily a lot. Over here we see a little bit of like the side. I think that looks pretty nice. So it'll be a little bit more like this. Okay, I think that is correct. And then from here, I don't think we get that much shadow in there. But over here, I think we could probably get quite a bit. Okay, that seems fine. Now I invert the color, just so I can see the stars a little bit better. And I have a lovely normal and a shadow color here. Okay, and just due to the angle of things, I do think that I have this in about the right place. I think it might be a little bit big. How does it compare with the size of some other stuff? Okay, so I'm gonna touch up some proportions here. I think this is a little small, so I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. And due to the angle, I do think that this is right. So that tells me that I need this to be a little bit higher up. Just a little, though. And tilted this way. And I'm not going to draw this like this. I just want to leave it as a placeholder so I kind of know where to put it. Because I think the easiest way to draw this is I just want to draw it over here with the symmetry tool and not suffer. Not suffering is a plus. Okay. Do I have a good shot of what that looks like exactly? Okay, no, they didn't They didn't pull out the reference. That's fine. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can manage without. It looks pretty simple. So I think it's just something like that. Okay, the thick part is much lower than this. Much, much lower. There we go. So I think it's that about right. Maybe a little bit lower. Okay. Does that look right? I think so. So I'll go ahead and clean up what I have here. I am kind of in final rendering stage, so I do want all the edges to be clean. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer, rotate it 90 degrees. Hello there, John. Welcome. And thank you very much. Yeah, right now, I think I've got everything looking about the way I want it, or everything placed right. So now it's just a matter of cleaning everything up and making it nice and pretty. I have most things hidden right now because I'm trying to draw something very specific. And everything else would get in the way, but I will turn it all back on soon. I will turn it back on soon. But I want to get this kind of shape right. I just think it's easier to draw it like this and then put it in perspective. This way I can keep everything nice and symmetrical and I don't kind of have to be flipping the canvas back and forth, trying to get the balance right. It's super convenient. Okay. Just want to make sure that all of my edges are very smooth. Very, very smooth. And there's just a few little blobby spots I'm not super fond of. There we go. I think that should be pretty good. And there are some more details in there, but I think I just want to get this in here. Make sure I have it right. Do I? Yeah, they're overlapping slightly, so I do think that this is about right. And then I will subdivide them further. With shading when the time comes, but it is not yet time because I want to get those little blue parts in there too. So I'm just going to use the same color that I used in her veil here for convenience. And let's see, these are just simple little spiky things, so I don't have to try very hard. Just kind of come in. And get this kind of shape. I think I might need it a little bit bigger than that. But I think this kind of shape will get me exactly what I want. I'm going to take one more look at them, though. Okay, they are a little thicker at the bottom, but not much. So I'll put in that little bit of extra thickness, and then I will just let it taper off a little bit more nicely up at the top. I think that this will give me that blue shape. I want to make sure that top part is nice and pointy. It can be hard to tell with the symmetry tool sometimes, but I will do my best as always. Okay, and there we go. I think that should be good. Rotate it 90 degrees to the right, and there. And at this point, I no longer want the symmetry, but I think that's about what I want for this. Somewhere between flower and star. Okay. I'll go ahead and kind of put in some of the basic details here so you can see that they do overlap a little bit. It looks like the ones going left and right overlap the top and bottom ones. So I will draw that. I need to get my shadow color for that. And I will put in a horizontal mirror so that this way I only have to draw it once. Just like that. You can see I'm not fully shading it yet. I'm not going to do that until I put it on her head. Is it about like that? Not quite. Let me back this up actually. Because there's a particular quality to it. It needs to kind of be a little bit more flower-like. So I want this part to be nice and round and then taper. Actually, thinking about it, I should be doing it like this. Oh, yeah. Oh man, this way I only have to draw one line. Wonderful. And I guess while I'm here, no. Okay. No, this is good. Okay, so I think that's it for that accessory. So I will take these layers, we'll turn her back on, and I will plop them on her head. We're just gonna start with this guy. No, I probably do want to move the little center part with it as well. Okay. I was thinking about doing it separately, but no, I think it makes more sense to do it like this. I do. Okay. So now I'll make it the right size, and then I just squish it in one direction in order to get the perspective on it right. And then when the time comes, I will also kind of round things out a little bit more and kind of perfect the shape at this angle and various things like that. But for now, start with perspective. Now I kind of want to pull the center out, make it a little more three-dimensional there. And there we go. I think that's sitting on her head quite nicely. Let's go get the other one. And I don't think that I use this pattern anywhere else, right? Okay, I'm not going to keep a unmodified one then. I'm just going to use this. A lot of the time when I either fear mistakes or realize that I'm going to need to use this again, I will often just keep an unmodified one for my purposes. I don't think I need that here. Okay, so once again, getting the perspective in. Make sure it's in the right spot. And this one I have to do something a little special with because I need to make sure that it goes behind the veil, so he will be rendered later. Once I kind of have the veil figured out and rendered, so that this way I know which parts I should erase here, because, you know, it's going to be behind this part and behind this part. And so once I have that information, then I can draw it sanely. But I don't yet. Right now the veil is still a little bit messy, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I will render this star fully before I go and do anything else. I'm going to keep them on separate layers for now. Let's see, are you a little blurry? Yeah, not really. Okay. So let's make this look nice. So let's see, I want to round this out a little bit more. Just round it all out. I just didn't like quite how angular it was all looking. So I'll make it just a bit rounder here. Because I do think that this shape looks pretty soft on her model. And I want to bring on that softness here too. I like to pay very close attention on the kind of impression, just every little thing on the original gives, and try to match it as best I can. At least when I'm doing fan art. You know, when I'm doing my own thing, I can do whatever I want, but fan art I like to match. And, well, thank you very much. I do my best. Okay. Round that. And there we go. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit of cleaning here and there. In just a few places I'm not quite satisfied with. I want the shape of this to stick out a little bit more right there. There we go. I just want that to be a little curvier. I think the other ones are okay, though. Okay. So now it's shading time, and for starters, I wish to add a little bit of the 3D spots. I'm sure she's doing her best. Remembering things is surprisingly hard. But don't worry, I won't forget you. I promise. It's okay, you know, with the current state of AI, I just basically see them as glorified toddlers. And so right now we're just getting glorified toddlers to draw all kinds of, like, ridiculous things, or say all kinds of ridiculous things, then we laugh at them. It seems a little bit rude. I mean, if people keep buying it, can you blame them? I, too, would like to make lots of money while spending no effort. That sounds fantastic. But... Okay, let me make sure I'm understanding the structure of this flower here. Yeah, so you can kind of see it's a little bit metallic, and how do I describe this? There's this line going down the middle suggesting that this plane and this plane are going in opposite directions. So there's like a crease down the middle, and then the flower is going in different directions. So we got something like, if we look at it from like the front, so we'd have the crease going down the middle here, and then the flower goes in two different directions. And one side gets hit by light, the other side does not. So that's what I'm going to try to get in here. And so I think that this is going to be the side and shadow on this one. I kind of see the light as coming from more above than below, although this is going further back. So you know what? No, I think it actually is this side that goes into shadow. I changed my mind. Oh yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. So in this case, I'm shading of what basically amounts to a secondary light source. I picture, you know, the big one going to be the big sun in the back. But then there's another one where I pictured that the building that she's coming out of, there's like a building. She's on a balcony. So presumably there's a building off screen, more or less. And I picture there being some lights there. So that's what I'm lighting for right now. Just the small lights coming from the building. And then later, I will add my big mood and intensity lighting. I've already gotten that started from last time. It's always a good time when I'm able to add that. And that will be what really defines the sun. Okay. And then the last one here. And color in this side. And this thing seems a lot more flat when I look at her model. I will add some metallic highlights to this, but I kind of want to just finish getting some of the shadows in here. All right. Yeah, that seems pretty good. And then, like I said, I'll take care of this guy after I deal with the veil. So we're just gonna get this one, and we'll go from there. So let's see. I do think that there will be a small cast shadow from this. Just a tiny little guy. They seem pretty close together. And when objects are close together, the shadows that they cast are shorter. That's why shadows cast by the sun as it's going down or coming up are really, really long. There we go. So I think something like that. And that should be sufficient. Do I wish to do the light right now? No. I'd like to finish off this guy. So we got a little bit of blue here, and I think this blue is supposed to be the same color as this gem. So you know what? I think I'm gonna go do her head accessory now. I don't think there's any harm in doing it right now. I already have like half of it drawn. Let me see. What is that? Okay. I think I want to make this circle a little thicker. Okay, so there we go. And then from there, let's see. Okay, so this is just the ring. Let's get the shape of that forehead jewel. Do I want to draw this or do I just want to use symmetry again? Let's just use symmetry again. That's just easier. Okay, here we go. So we'll hide Leia. I will get my thing. I'm gonna take one more look at that, and I'm sick of scrolling back and forth, so I'm gonna go find a different reference here. Okay. Yeah, this looks pretty much symmetrical all the way around. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep my life easy. I'm gonna draw the diamond first. I'll just fill it in. And then I will make the pointy parts. Where it kind of comes out. And much like before, I will get these top and bottom parts in, and then I will duplicate the layer and rotate it. I have always found that to be the easiest way to handle these things. And it is one smooth motion, right? Yes, it is. Wonderful. That is like the easiest way to handle super symmetrical stuff, in my opinion. At the very least, it works for me. Okay, so there we go, and now the gem. Is the gem the same shape? Sure is. So you know what? Let's keep my life easy. Duplicate the layer. I will color it the blue that I want. What do I think is a good midtone? I think probably around here. Does that look about the same as what's here? Pretty dang close. So you know what? Sure, I'll take that vaguely purple one on the flower. Okay, so now color the whole thing, and then I make it a little smaller. And this would be scarier if I didn't have that nice little script that helps me center things. And actually, I think I made the points too long. I sure did. Okay, I should fix that. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna shave that. That should be fine. And I will indeed fix the shape of the points. I'm not satisfied with it. Needs a little bit more meat on it. Here we go. Okay, let's try that. You did not rotate. What is wrong? What did I do wrong? To the right. There it goes. Okay. Is that better? I don't know. Over here still feels really long. Okay, no, I'm still not happy with it, so let's try again. Okay, I'll try as many times as I need. Sometimes I just need a minute to kind of feel out what I'm actually trying to do. Okay, let's try this. Does that feel a little better? It's close, but I need some stuff up here to be a little thinner. The angle change is a little bit more dramatic. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that looks better. That looks pretty dang close. So the only thing I really want to fix here, and this is something I can do because it will be on all four, is I want to bring this part in a little bit more. And when I say all four, I mean all four quadrants here. So I don't need to be pulling any shenanigans. Thus, I can just casually erase here, and it will be reflected in every single one. I just feel like this part's not quite right. Needs to kind of cut in a little bit more. Okay. So now let's check everything and see if I can get the blue jewel to look right. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. I think this is good. Okay, and I will get my little alignment helper script to perfectly center it for me. And there we go. Now I have her little forehead jewel thing. I do have it the right width, right? Yeah, I think so. Cool. So we can turn Leia back on, and I can bring this down here to the forehead thing. Did I already delete the layer? I did, okay. So now I just transform this into place, and that's super easy. I don't even have to do a bunch of perspective shenanigans, at least not yet. Perhaps I might. But not yet. Let's just get it sitting on with the angle of her head. Okay, and there we go. It is there now. Name the layers, and okay, now I can kinda get them shaded. I totally forgot why I wanted to do this. Oh yeah, so I could get the color of the gem. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it while I'm here. And while I'm thinking about it. So I'll start with all the little bits holding the gem and whatnot. And after that, I can go in and shade the gem. I won't do the little beads connecting the forehead jewel with the stars here until the stars are done. So I will have to, revisit this spot, but I think that's just the nature of how these things are. It's all good. I can just do whatever order suits me. It's fine. Let me see. Okay, so these do not look like they have several planes. It just kind of curves away very gently from the gem. And the gem is inset inside of it, right? Looks that way to me. So I'm gonna roll with it and hope for the best. So here we go. So this side will get shadows, and then down here we'll get highlights. Actually, I don't think I need to be quite this particular here because I think most of this is going to be in shadow here. Oh shoot, I don't have the layer locked. That is bad. There we go. Okay, gem holder sits on top of the circle. And you know what? I kinda want the highlight color now. So I'm gonna go back to the stars and I'm gonna do highlights. Just gonna jump around everywhere as it suits me. Here we go. Is that a good one? I think that's a pretty good one. Alright, so let's get some shiny highlights in here. I do love me some highlights. They just make everything so much better. They do. I love them. I feel like highlights is just when everything gets so much better. I'm just thinking about how I want to do this. Because I don't know if this looks sufficiently metallic for my tastes. I'm pretty sure I can do it better. So I might go look up what metal things actually look like. And use a little bit less of a symbolic type of shading. Okay, so just looking up what gold jewelry looks like. That should be close enough to what I want here. And I do know if I was going for something slightly more realistic, I should include some green and stuff, but I'm not. So I don't think I'll actually do that. Okay, so this I picture to be more planar. So I don't really want something round like a ring. I want something flat. Okay, let's look up a crown. Maybe that'll give me the shape I want. They seem adjacent. Man, why am I getting so many cartoon crowns? I want photos. The stock images have betrayed me. You know what I think I actually want to do? I think I want to make some of these shadows a little bit darker. I know just what to do. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to select my shadow areas. And I am just going to pick another color. A darker shadow color. A little bit too hot, so let me do it like this instead. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And then instead of just drawing hard lines normally, I'm just going to do a little bit of a gradient. So it's just going to... Oh, no, not Beanie Eraser. Just going to do something like this. And I think this will make it look really shiny if I do it right. I think I've said before, you know, when it comes to a lot of art things, the shadows are really, really important. They are what really will bring out your lights. So you can't be afraid of the shadows. You must embrace them. They are wonderful. They will do so much more to bring your picture to life. The highlights. The highlights are when things really start feeling nice, but if you don't have your shadows set up properly, your highlights won't feel as good. So even though, you know, the shadows are largely the supporting cast, they're very important and they are very necessary. So don't sleep on them. Appreciate your shadows. Even if they're a little subdued, don't draw much attention to themselves. In fact, they actively pull people's attention away from things. That's one of their functions. They're still really important. Never underestimate the things just unassumingly doing their job in the background. They deserve their recognition too. And then I think after this I might add a few reflections from the veil itself. I think that'll make it look really shiny too. But I'm going to be very gentle with it. I don't want to overdo it. Very, very gentle. And I don't dare mess with gradation on some of these parts until a little bit later, so I'm actually just going to leave it like that. But I think that this is looking pretty alright so far. Okay. Is that a little too soft? No. No, I think that's good. Yeah, that looks pretty shiny, and it'll be even better once I get the highlights onto it. Okay, and I can still get my original shadow color easily from like over here or down here. Down there is probably a little bit more reliable. Let me see if I can find some nice plane changes. Man, even specifically specifying a crown photo still gets me a bunch of non-photos. Life is hard. How about a pendant? Ooh, this is a good one. Okay, so it's looking like when you light things with strong planar changes like this, that there's a little bit less shadow on the light side. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that. And we'll get some shiny lights over here. This is why I didn't want to do any gradation yet. Because you see my highlights are spilling out onto this area and I want to be able to touch them up easily. Now here, I'm going to do something a little different in that I'm not going to do like the super shiny spikes there. Yeah, I don't like that at all. I think I'm just going to put a little gradation there. It'll be about the same with this guy. So I just feel like adding more of these will be a little bit much. Okay, so I think that'll be good. So let's zoom in and really clean this up now. Make sure that all my lines are nice and smooth, and then I can get all of the remaining gradients doing what I want. And I'm just doing some other little bits of cleaning here and there. Make sure that everything is to my liking. Okay. So now let's get some lights in there. These guys are especially bright. But there's going to be a little bit of brightness out on this too. Just a little. I don't want to overdo it. Okay, then that should be good, I think. And when I zoom out, that looks pretty shiny. I think I want to take back some of the shadows that I put there. I think I made them perhaps a little bit strong. And I think I want them to gradate a bit less hard. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a harder edge. Just a little bit. Okay. Then back to doing the kind of white reflections. Just a little bit of reflected light from the veil itself. And then maybe even a little bit of reflected light over here from the sun itself. Okay, and that I think should make it look pretty shiny. Yeah, that looks pretty shiny. I think I can be happy with that. Okay. So let's see here. So now that I got that done, let's go ahead and get the little flower thing. It has little blue tips. And a nice smooth gradient. And as far as I can tell, it does not really have any folds or anything. Yeah. It is just a little thing. So that's fine. I'll leave it like that. All right. I've already started the gem holder, so let's just go and do that. I'll go ahead and finish it. So I'll do that thing where I just add a little bit of dark through here. And the whole reason that I went on that detour was just because I wanted the highlight color. Okay, highlight color is useful. Okay. So I will get that nice and smooth and looking nice. I want to make it look like it's just reflecting a little bit of light up there before heading on down and changing direction. This should make the gem look like it's inside there. And let's see. I think I do want a bit of shadow through here. And probably through here. And I think this side will just be completely in light. Something like that. Something like that. And we see a little bit of the side here. So I want to put that in. And we see a little bit of it over here too. So I'll plop that in as well. And then I'll just go back to making everything shiny. Because it must be shiny. Thus declares me. And as always, as the artist, you get to decide these things. There's nothing the art can do to stop you. It is powerless against your power. And it's kind of a wonderful feeling. So there we go. I think that's pretty okay. This is a small thing. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I think that's fine. Alright, and then I just need to do the same thing with the circular part. So we see a bit of the bottom here and down here. And then I want to make sure that it's clear that the gem holder thing is on top of the circular part. So I will be dropping in some cast shadows as well. Okay, so there we go. I think that's pretty good. And then I'll just, yeah, let's get those cast shadows in before I forget. But afterwards, I'm just going to make it a little shiny. So we'll add a little highlight right there. And I think that's perfect. So now the gem. So gems are always kind of interesting. What kind of gem does she have? Okay. I just wanted to check the cut, and I see that it's the kind where it's pointy, like in the middle here. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to pick a dark. So probably somewhere in this realm. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Hello there, Tamak. Welcome back. Divide it up. Color in the parts that I think should be dark, which is actually not going to be that one. It's going to be this one. And this one. There we go. And then I need a bright color. So I'll go grab the bright color now. Color in there. That is too bright. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, sounds good to me. You know, as much as I wanted to be background music, I almost wanted to be a sleep aid. Okay. So there we go. I think I might want this to be a little brighter, actually. Not that bright. That might be good. Let's try it. Yeah, I think that's a little better. There we go, and then I leave the last one neutral. So that'll give the kind of shape here, and now I can make it gem-like. So this is where I get to derp around and have some fun. Let me finish getting things in structurally here. Okay, so all I gotta do, I am going to set my brush to overlay, and I'm gonna pick a nice bright color. Maybe somewhere around here. Good? I'd say so. And now I draw some random scribbles. Okay, I should be a little bit neater than that. In fact, I should probably use a cube brush. Okay. Yeah, that'll make it a little bit easier. In theory. The aliasing there was something kind of awful. Okay, and that's good there. So now I'm gonna get a purple. And do the same. And we just, scribble a little bit. It's all good. Sometimes I'm neater than this, sometimes I'm not, but this is small enough that I think this is perfect. And then from there, I just want to add a few little sparklies. So we'll take this color. I'll make it a little brighter. And I'm going to go back to my circle. I don't really like drawing with the square brush. I vastly prefer the circular one. Okay, now we make it just a little bit shiny. Okay, and there we go. I think that's fine. Yeah, looks good to me. Even at 100%, I think it looks pretty okay. I might lighten up some stuff back there, but I think that's like the worst of what I've got to do. So I'll reduce my brush opacity to like 33%. And just kind of lighten up this part just a little bit here. Okay, there we go. I think that's good. So that's the entirety of the forehead gem there. So now I think I'm going to go ahead and just smooth out the veil, and then I can, get this other star going. I think I have them on separate layers right now. I sure do. Okay. So I can keep this one in while I smooth out the veil and hide the one that kind of requires me to know what's going on with it. All right, here we go. I think I'm going to start with the trim, since I have them on separate layers. I have you locked. That's no good for smoothing. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, gems are surprisingly easy to draw because you can basically just scribble and it'll look great. The joy of anime and not necessarily having to be completely realistic. It feels good. All right. So I think I can mostly trust what I have, so I just gotta smooth it out. Just gotta smooth it all out. Okay, and then when I looked at the reference, the trim on the veil is actually quite thin. So I definitely have it a little too thick. So I'm kind of thinning it out as I go. And then afterwards, I will fix all the colors underneath it. And it'll be great. So I just want to make sure that these lines are nice and straight and smooth as always. And I want to make sure that they connect well. I'm mostly focused on the outside, but I do want to do the occasional shadow bit just to make sure I'm drawing this correctly. But yeah, I think this is good. And I am not the slightest bit concerned about the veil underneath it right now. I am just focused on this gold part. I'm finding certain parts a little hard to see, actually, so I'm gonna amp up the contrast here. I'm gonna hide her glasses, too. It's alright, we'll put on the cute grandma glasses a little bit later. I don't need them right now. I'm not drawing them yet. I'll probably actually put them on after I do her eyes. Alright. There we go. I feel like things are getting to be the right thickness now. I think I might have chopped off a little bit too much right here. Just a little bit, though. This trim, not thick at all. It is quite thin and quite subtle. And I don't want there to be any sharp corners here. I do not think that sharp corners suit this character very well. She seems very soft and fluffy. So I want my shapes to be soft and fluffy as well. That's also why I rounded off the edges on these, for example. I could probably have gotten away with leaving them pointy. But I don't know. I just don't think pointy shapes suit her at all. So we'll make everything nice and soft. Nice and soft. The lighting's staying dramatic, though. That's just me saying no. We like dramatic lighting here. So that's staying nice and bright. I just have it off right now. I find it too hard to render things with all my dramatic lighting on. But it's okay. The dramatic lighting, although very dramatic, I think still has a nice gentleness to it. And around here, I'm being very particular about just about everything. Because this is near the face. And as always, you know, you don't mess around with the face. Anything near it will be highly visible and will be seen, so can't slack off. That's why I'm being very particular about all the angles and everything and the width. And I mean, let's be real, I tend to be particular about these things in general, but I get a little bit less particular the further away from the face I get. And I mean, her eyes are literally in the same frame here, even though I'm zoomed in to 200%. That's when you know you really got to pay attention to everything. Okay. You know, she looks surprisingly good in a black veil. Maybe someday I'll have to draw her in a more gothic outfit or something. I've been getting the character design bug again, so I might draw some VTubers in alternate outfits. I already have an idea for what I want to do next. So there we go. I do like designing outfits. I think it's a good time. And then down here, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to worry about the top part. But not the bottom part, because this part's going to go behind the shoulder at some point. And I'm not quite sure where that point is yet, so I don't want to render it yet. I want to get a little further and know where that shoulder is going to go before I go in and clean that up. So that will be for once I get to the body. But even though I'm relying on the body there, it is close enough to the face that I'm still not going to mess around. Still going to get it just right. It is just not yet time to get it just right. There is a time and a place for everything. I did not like how that got rounded there. So I squared it off a little, and now I can round it off more toward my liking. There we go. That's good. Will such a small detail make any difference in the long run? I think it will, actually. Because by getting rid of the hard corners of like my squares and stuff, I think it'll just leave a softer impression overall. And impressions are very important. A lot of the time people aren't really consciously aware of them, but I do think it makes a difference. The details really do matter. Alright, and this will be the last bit for here. The rest of the veil is actually on a different layer, and I think that is fine. I think it can hang out there, and I will render that when the time comes. I just kind of want to get enough through here that I can get her hair. Mostly just the bangs, actually. I'm not too worried about all this hair in the back just yet. That will, come probably after I finish the body. She's an interesting one, because most of the time I spend like an eternity at the beginning working on hair, and then I just do a little bit at the end to kind of fill in the parts of the hair that go behind the body. But with her, most of her hair is behind her body. And that's where the most detailed parts are. So that'll be an adventure. But that'll be an adventure for future me. So I don't actually think I have that much hair to render before I get into the face. But we'll see how long it takes, because I mean, it's still anime hair. It's still going to be a bit of a thing. But I would be very happy if I could get into her face today. I love rendering faces. They are so much fun. I made this a little too thin. My hand has betrayed me. Okay. There we go, that's better. So how are we looking? Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good. That looks about the right width. So now I can fix the colors there. And from there, stretch. I'm gonna go and get my shadows in. And then I can do the white part. Okay, and you know, any little spots that I see that I didn't quite get right, I will fix. There does tend to be a couple. Especially when I'm dealing with some inverted colors to help me see. It means that I see things a little bit differently when I put the colors back to normal. But I think it's useful. It can be useful to see things a little bit differently. Let's see, how do I want to handle this part? No, I don't think that's quite right. I might have to try a couple of different patterns before I find the one that I really like. But that's normal, especially when I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I guess that's fine. Feels a little bit unflattering when I put it that way, but no, I think it's fine. I do. I just want to make sure this looks like it's draping over everything nicely. I want it to look nice and gentle. Okay. Oh. Okay, and from here, I still think we see a little bit of the bottom, so I will shade accordingly. I don't know. How do I want to handle the transition between a shadow spot and a spot where we just see the bottom? Yeah, that looks alright. Maybe I can do the same up here, actually. I wasn't quite happy with my decision there. Okay, yeah, that looks alright. Alright, just had to draw a straight line there, and you know how hard straight lines are. So, I wanted to make sure I got that right, in mostly one stroke. There we go. That looks pretty nice, I think. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think I can be happy with that. So now I can get the other side. Still just kind of deciding how this folds. But I think it's like this. I think it folds like this. Okay. And here I still think we see a little bit of the bottom, so I will plop that in as well. Oh, got another cough coming. One moment. Blah. It's like, man, I've been feeling good for a while now, but that last 10%, it always takes a while to go away. Just got some stuff in my chest that doesn't want to come out. It's very stubborn. And all I can say is, yeah, you know what? That sounds like my body. Of course my body will be as stubborn as me. Makes sense. Okay, this one I was not able to do in one stroke, so I'm gonna have to take a little bit of time to smooth that out, but it's okay. There we go. And then what was I thinking here? I was thinking that there was an angle change, so I wanted it like this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and once again, I still think we see a little bit of the bottom here, so I will still add a little shadow there. Another little angle change here. And yeah, now we're getting into the parts that I have declared are for later. So that'll be it for that. I want to show a little bit of the bottom here, I think. Man, I just have this little tickle in my throat that won't go away. The worst, I tell you. All right. Yeah, I like this little curve here. I think that looks really nice. And then after this, I will also add some lights to it, because when I look at the I guess surface quality on the model here, it does look very shiny. It's not metallic, but it's still very shiny. So I'm not going to try to make it look metallic, but I will add some lovely little highlights in the areas that I think are hitting the light the hardest. And you know, I think it'll be really interesting to add the additional lights when it comes time to add my atmospheric lighting. I think that'll help a lot. Hello there, Lucas. Welcome. Do I like that, or do I want it more like this? No. I like it going down a little like that. I think it makes it roll nicely. Yeah. That's a nice little roll. Okay. So let's make it shiny now. I'll still use the same highlight color. Let's see, where do I think the light will be hitting the strongest? Probably right around here. And I think that there will be a little bit of light like on the edges of some of these. So I'll add a little bright spot on a lot of that. I want this one to kind of taper off as it gets to the bottom. This is very furry. I'm gonna have a hell of a time cleaning that up, but it's all right. I'll manage. I don't think I want any highlights on this side, actually. Yeah, I don't think I want any. I'll extend this one out a little further to each side. There we go. And then, you know, once again, not quite going all the way to the edge. Let's see, are you going to be especially shiny or anything? I actually do think that there's going to be a big shine over here, too. I don't think this one gets a big shine, though. I think this one does, but that one I have slated for later. Or rather, it would, if it's probably not... if it wasn't going to be covered up by the shoulder. But... yeah, that'll be for later. I don't think we get one big one here. No, I don't think we do. We get any over here. No, I think both of these are facing the wrong direction. Okay. So I think that'll be it for the highlights. What do they look like exactly? Yeah. So let's just go ahead and smooth these out. For that, I'm really going in, since these are just kind of lining a shadow. I want to make sure they look good, because, you know, The shadows are important, but the highlights, oh boy. When your shadows are correct, the highlights just make everything pop. And it is wonderful. If this was a little further away from the face, I probably wouldn't be this particular, but honestly, knowing me, I actually might be. Let's be real. But since it is by the face, I do want to be very particular. And don't mess around with the face. Everything around the face must be perfect. Okay, and that should do that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. So let's go ahead and get the cloth part instead of just these little trim parts that I've been working on. What are you? You must be part of the back here. Yeah, there we go. Clear out anything that just does not belong here. It'll make it a little bit easier for me to see if I just erase some of that stuff now. Okay. And now I can make it smooth without worry. And I think I can mostly trust what I've drawn already. I think for now I'm just going to focus on the outside, so that this way I can lock transparency and color without worrying about going outside the lines. I think that will just make my life a lot easier. So I just want to make sure to get this little curve very nice. I think that might actually end up fading in with the background, depending on how I do it. I haven't quite decided. Like, it looks fine now, but at some point I'm going to turn the sun back on. And they are very close in color, but I haven't decided if I'm going to put like a dark line around here to separate them or not, or if I'm just going to kind of let it fade into the sun. I figure that's a good job for future me to figure that out when I actually have most of her rendered and I will have a better idea of what's going on. Don't worry, I trust future me's decision making. She's pretty smart. I'm sure she'll be able to make something very nice. I'll just try to make her life as easy as I can. Always take care of your future self. Okay, I'm gonna do the blue parts after. I just kind of want to focus on the outside for the time being. And then I'll get those inner parts in just a little bit. And let's see, no, this needs to connect all the way to the end here. So that will change this angle considerably. A little too much. Let's try that again. And try as many times as necessary. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish the outside here. This is exactly why I wanted to get these little stars done before I focused too much on things. Because I knew that they'd be covering part of this veil. And now that they're covering part of it, I know which parts I don't really have to care about, and which parts will need additional shadows and things like that. So, I always like doing things in that order. It makes my life a little bit easier. Alright, then, you know, down here is still for later. Once I draw her shoulders. But I think that's the outside. So let's go ahead and get the blue parts on the inside here. Make those look very nice too. They are also very important. They do a great job of showing how this veil is moving around. So I want to give them the attention that they deserve too. Let's see, is that shaped well? Let me take a look. Or do I think I should shave off a little bit right there? Okay, no, I think that's probably good. It just feels a little bit big because we're looking at her from slightly below, so we see a little bit more of what's underneath. But still, it's good to double check these things. Anytime I'm not sure, I like to take a little bit of time just to double check. It makes me feel better in the long run, too. Because then I know I can trust the decision I made, and that always feels really nice. Alright, last one for this side, and then I just need to come over here. It's always so funny seeing the relics of the... I guess I'll call it the sketch. Since, you know, I don't really sketch, I just go straight into what I'm gonna draw. And then make it nice later. But it's always funny seeing some of the relics and just how all that works out. Alright. This one will be kind of interesting. No, I think this one has to go behind the hair, so I don't want it on this layer. So anything that's out over here needs to go away. And the rest of this will be a job for future me. Since it's all kind of behind the hair. Okay. So there we go, and now I just need to get the inner parts. So one thing I think I want to do, especially with some of those bright highlights in there, is I do want to put a little bit of a lining around the trim. I will do that after I handle the big shading, though. I'm worried that this is a little bit too sharp here. I want to make this just a little bit less sharp here. Remember how I said that I was kind of particular about the shapes? Because I do think that getting rid of these sharp edges changes the impression a lot. I think this will be one area where that shows, like, almost immediately. So I'll show you before and after once I kind of get it the way I want. So there we go. That's much rounder now. And it looked like that before. So it's subtle, but it feels more soft. Very subtle. And I do think that level of detail is actually important here. I'm just going to shave off all the areas that I feel like are just a little tiny bit too sharp. I want to take care of that now. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, and now I can get back to what I was planning on doing before. Okay. So I'm going to handle the big picture first. And I want to get the general shadows in here. I feel like most of them are already there. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll zoom in, make sure that everything is tapering nicely and all that good stuff. I find it a little bit difficult to do while I'm zoomed out like this. This way I can get all the big shadows in and go from there. Hello there, Levin. Welcome back. Okay, so I think that's looking good. Make sure to fill in some of these spots here. And we'll go from there. That's all right. You know, sometimes breaks are necessary, but glad to hear that you're picking it back up. Drawing is fun. Okay, here I want to be kind of particular about this shape. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And then it kind of goes out in the edge there. Okay. And I think that's about it for the big shadow, since I decided I didn't want to do any in the back or anything like this. Such things can look nice, but I don't think I'm going to do it for this one. Alright, so I'll go ahead and smooth all these out. Fortunately, I was decently smooth with things, so I don't think I'll have that hard a time. Not quite happy with how I did that, so just fixing it up. As always. Okay, and this is where I can be particular about where it starts and stops. So I want to make sure that this white part goes all the way to the edge of where I'm kind of declaring that it goes. That there's no shadow over there, and that the shadow comes after, from where it's folding over here. So that is where I want that to go. I want some of these to be a little thinner. There we go. Yeah, and I feel like I can just kind of go from here. Yeah, I think these should be a little thinner too. I could probably forego a shadow here entirely if I wanted, but I just want a little bit. Just a little. It makes me happy. Okay, so there's that. I feel like this one's already going to the edge very nicely. So now I just got to draw the rest. Make sure that does what I want it to do. And I think this one actually needs to curve in a little bit. Does it? No, I'm wrong. Okay. That happens sometimes. I wasn't quite happy with the shape. But no, this is better than the alternative. So this is good. All right. And then down here is messy because I have slated that for later. But I'll go ahead and get the top. Make sure that this part goes all the way to the edge and then all the way up. Trying to do that in as few strokes as possible. There we go. Okay, and let's see. Oh, what had a unique sound to it? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Okay, so now I just got to get this side, and then I want to add just a little fine line of some stuff happening. Let me see, are you actually folding that way? I think this one might actually be... You know what? Science. Gotta test something. Do I like you better going this way? No. Okay. Glad I tried. Alas. I am glad that I tried that. Okay. So now I just got to do the same thing on this side. I do like that shadow a little thick there. So I think I'm actually going to straighten it out on this side. Yes. That is perfect. Okay. There we go. Now I can do that little bit of trim that I wanted. Just a tiny little bit here. I just always like doing this kind of thing. I think it... I think it looks nice, and I think it'll look especially nice around the highlights. It'll separate it from the rest of the veil a little bit more nicely. Just a slight little hint of shadow. Okay. I think I end up doing stuff like this instead of line art. I actually do think that they have kind of a similar function. Which is kind of funny to think about, given how hard I resisted doing line art for so long. I am less afraid of it now. I blame stained glass style. It helped me a lot. I actually think here I might be showing a little bit too much of the side there. I want it to hang a little flatter, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to move the highlight to the very edge. I don't know, I just wasn't happy with it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. And now I can get this little line going around the other side. Oh, wrong layer. Wrong layer. See that there was a tiny hole there, so I filled it in, and there we go. I think that's good for the veil thing. I could probably add some like interesting gradients and stuff. It looks like it's supposed to be a little bit translucent. Ooh. Let's see, do I want to try to make it a little translucent? Because there are things I can do to really make translucent stuff look cool. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. So the gold trim will not be translucent. Oh, so that means I actually will have to care about the shape of her head and stuff underneath this, which is, you know, a little bit unfortunate. But that's okay. I will fix that. Yeah, I totally missed that it was actually translucent. Ooh. Okay. Because, yeah, I was planning on not making it translucent here. Okay, so that means I'm going to have to kind of care about some stuff underneath. Let's go ahead and worry about some of that, because it will bother me if I don't kind of fix it up. Because for a while I was assuming I would not have to care, and apparently I am incorrect. So, you know, let's go care. Let's go hide her back hair here. And I will perfect the front hair. Let's see, do I want to hide it? I'll keep it on. So I do think that this part is sitting up in front of her hair. So I think this is all still correct. I just need to actually care about the shape of her head. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna hide it for just a little bit while I kind of fix the shape of her head here. Ooh, that does make things hard on me, doesn't it? Okay. Oh man, that's unfortunate. Okay, but no, I do want to respect the character design. So I will change things. I will change things to suit making her head actually look nice. Alright, well in that case, I guess I'm gonna spend some time focusing on getting the impression of her hair correct. Okay, yeah. I just totally missed that the veil was a little bit see-through. Let me see, do you have a good shot of her hair here? So I do feel like I have it mostly correct here. Let me see. I'm gonna zoom out and kind of draw them together. I'm not gonna worry about smoothing things out here. But we'll keep it rough for a little while. So let's see, we had this long bang. It kind of starts going down between her eyes. I think I might have her eyes a little bit too high up. Okay, and I want to make it sit on her forehead a little better, so I'm gonna kind of extend it out like that. Make it a little rounder through here. Welcome back. Okay, and then I'm gonna worry about this big bang coming down here. So that'll be next. So let's see, all of this big bang in front kind of collects under here. And then we get a little hair vent going around like this. And I think I actually have this in a decent spot. I think this looks alright. But it does come out a little bit further this direction. and have this kind of shape to it. And I want it to be a little bit bigger so that this way it's clear that we're looking at her from below. Not sure why that would make your finger smell like a balloon, but sure. Okay. Okay, and I think that's looking pretty alright. Something about it still doesn't quite look like her, though, and that's what's bothering me. I think I might be having this hair curl around her a little bit too much. I think it goes down a little bit more like this. It's always tempting to make hair curl around the face. But no, I think it goes a little bit more straight down, and then there's just some little loose strands out on the side that kind of curls around here. And those do go on her cheek. I think this artist likes to draw a few more loose strands than I do, so I'm not going to go as hard on it. Okay. And then we have over here, I'm not going to do these little bits of side hair that go in. I'm just focusing on the parts that kind of wrap around her face. So this side is quite thin in that regard. And it looks like in the back we get a little curl this way. But it looks fairly short. It goes straight into the bangs, I think. So she's gonna look a little weird. You know, let me put her back hair back on. Does it look a little bit more like her with it? Significantly. Okay. So yeah, we'll just have a short hair Memoria for a little bit. That's fine. I actually think she looks kind of cute like this. She can pull off the short hair well. But I do want to make sure that, or rather I did want to make sure that she gives the correct impression with the rest of her hair here. So, but I think she does. I think she looks great. And let's see, these are supposed to be about the same length, so either this one should be longer or this one should be shorter. I think this one should be longer. So we'll pull it down a little. Okay. Just fix it up a bit, and then I can fix up this side a bit, and I got the loose strand there, and then let's see. This little strand, there's a little strand that goes on top of the veil. I'll draw that later. I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, so let's get this going into her head nicely. And now I can draw the little bits of hair going off onto the side here. So something like that. And I think that's okay. I'm not going to clean it up or make it smooth yet. The part that makes me sad is just that I'm going to have to liquefy the veil here in order to... Or you know what? I think it'll actually be harder to do with liquefy. I'm just going to grab the color and then draw over. And hopefully this will solve all my problems. Fortunately, I don't think it looks too bad. Okay, so that was less painful than I feared it would be. There we go. And you know what? Maybe it'll make her head look a little bit less flat, too. Okay. So now I just need smooth it all out and make it look nice and make sure it's sitting on her head the way I want it to. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think that, how to say, I need to change my shading any. I think this actually still looks okay. Yeah, I think so. All right, cool. So but the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the places where this translucent fabric is overlapping is a little bit more opaque. So I'm gonna do another one. Another layer. This will be for translucency overlap. I probably spelled that wrong, but it's fine. There we go. Okay. So now I want to think about, where is the cloth overlapping? You know, that's a good question. Let me see. I feel like this shouldn't be that hard, but for some reason my brain is just completely breaking on it. Yeah, where is it overlapping? So we have a bit of cloth going down here, and then if I were to finish where this one goes... Okay, so if I were to do the same exercise with this, we'd have some cloth overlapping here. I don't think there's any overlap here. I think there's a little bit up here. Okay, I think I have some idea of how it works now. Hello there, cakes. Welcome back. Okay. So if I'm thinking about this. Here, I think overlaps a little. I can't do that. I just have to draw it, I guess. That's fine. So this will probably go up and over the head, so it'll go up like this. So I think this part has some overlap. So I'll make it a little bit more opaque. Let's see, is there any overlap right here? I think the back side here does actually overlap a little bit here. That's okay, it takes some getting used to. I remember when I first had it, it utterly melted my brain, so don't worry about it. It takes some time. Okay, I don't think there's any overlap here, but this will probably go up like that. So I think all of this is overlap. Yep, okay, so that should be good. So here we have this. And I think there's probably a little overlap right here. Ooh, this is way harder than I thought it would be. I thought this would be extremely straightforward, but it is not. That's 2 more than I do. Okay, so here. And we have this part that probably comes up something like this. And then I don't think there's any overlap back there. Well, maybe there will be, since this will continue behind her. I think there might be a little bit of overlap like this. Okay, and you know what? I think I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna call that good. And then I will shade it like I shaded the other parts, so that it doesn't look weird. And hopefully that'll do it for me. Hopefully this will look correct, and we'll see how I feel about it next time. Okay. Let's go ahead and get my color. I can lock the layer now. And I can just go over the parts that are supposed to be shadowed. Oop, wrong. I'll just go over them real quick. Okay, no, this is all correct. This is all good. Okay. All right, and yeah, I guess that works. Works for me. All right. Let's do her hair. No, I have another star to do. And now I have enough information to actually get this star on there correctly. I feel like I made it a little too small, though. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this one. And I am gonna copy the one that I've already done and paste it over. Not there. Here. Okay. And I'll do it like this. Does this look like it is sitting correctly? I think it might when I erase relevant parts. Okay. So I think I could just make that work. I will clip this, and now I just very carefully go and erase everything. Oh, you're not... Oh, I see. Put these in a group. There we go. So, the way Krita's clipping mask works is that it'll clip to everything in the group. So I needed to make it a new group in order to clip my blue thing properly. Very important there. Alright. Oops, wrong layer. It would help if I erased things on the right layer. There we go. So get rid of all that, and then I also don't want it to show in front of this top part of her veil here. That should look pretty good. Nope, I erased a little bit too much. Okay, I'm gonna put it at a slightly higher opacity so I can hopefully see a little bit better. It can be tricky to get these just right. And I don't really feel like a selection would help me that much here. So I'm just gonna do it manually. Okay, and that still doesn't really feel like it's going back correctly, and frankly, I think I made it too small again. Awkward. No, I think I know what to do, though, so I'm gonna try again. We'll just copy these two again. I can do that as many times as necessary. So thinking about it, the angle of this thing should be way different. In fact, I think it's not even going to be visible. So I don't actually think I want this. Okay. Oh no, it might be visible, actually. You know, maybe it'd be easier if I just drew it again. I'm thinking about it. Art is hard, by the way. Anyway, let's see if I can get this doing what I want. With the power of mesh. Alright. Thanks for stopping by, Levin. Have a nice day. This looks terrible, but it's what I want to do. So, can I do that, but, like, better? Maybe I can do it liquefy better. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, this is working. Barely. But there we go. This should look like it's sitting on her head a little bit better, and then I'll go back and erase everything again. I'll just get the perspective right here. Liquefy. You are so nice. Making my life easier so I don't have to redraw the whole thing. I'm gonna pull this out. Okay, and I think that's actually looking pretty alright. I might need to touch it up. Just because, man, does liquefy make everything really blurry when you move it around a lot? But I'll see how it looks, especially since it's in kind of a minor spot. And I'm probably gonna dye most of this pink. But I don't think I want to do any of that stuff yet. And when I say that, I mean that just because the sun is like a bright pink, making this a brighter pink will let it kind of fade into the background and look like it's further back. I'll probably do that to parts of the veil as well. But yeah, there we go. That's better. So now I make it the right size. I'm gonna be very particular about the size here. I do think this top part is probably a little bit too tall relative to everything else. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I resize this. But I think something like that should look like it's on her head. Okay. So once again, I'm going to reduce the opacity. I'm going to select my trim layer. And I'm just going to start erasing. So that makes that part easy, and then I just clean up everything outside, and now I can try to tackle this part again. And I'll see if this looks better. I just was not happy with how it looked before. But you know what? I think this is already looking better. yeah, and with the way it's blowing, I think it makes sense for it to be sticking out a little at a bit of an awkward angle. So I think that looks pretty okay. And you know what? While I'm here, I'll go draw those little beads kind of connecting things. So I'm gonna send the little gem pendant a little further to the side. Normally, this wouldn't happen, but because it's connected to these big star pieces, I think with the way I have it, it makes sense for it to be a little further to the side. So that's just the wind doing wind things. And let me see, it is really small, right? Yeah. Oh, layer locked. Okay, and I want to draw myself a little stencil here and how it's going to be pulling. So this is going to be where I want to put my beads. I should have made it a different color, but there we go. No problem. So I will put them on that path. Let it follow that. Okay, I want to space these out better. I'm not happy. So, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the ends here. The end will come like right about there. Then I'm gonna put one in the middle. Divide both of those in half. And there we go. This gets the spacing a little bit more consistent. I should have done that from the start. Okay, then the same over here. So we start from the middle, go about out to the side here. I think this is going to be where the end is, just right there. Ooh, I need it to be on top of the veil. Wait a minute, you are on top of the veil. You are not even clipped, so why are you not showing up? Oh, I see, because you're underneath the stars. Okay. We'll put the stars underneath then. Okay, there we go. Okay, in the middle. Divide it again. And again. And we're not going to mind that they're floating. They're floating on her model, so as far as I'm concerned, this is correct. I will shade them, though. We'll give them a little bit of shading. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Oh yeah, and I should turn the trim back on. There we go. Okay, and over here. And then I just want to give them one tiny specular highlight. Because that kind of thing is always really nice. And I have no idea if I have the right number or anything. That's fine. This is all good. Let's get a little shadow under this guy. There we go. I'll give him little tiny highlights. Just one by one. All the way across. But it's easy, so it's okay. And I've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to start smoothing out her hair and stuff. And... actually, you know what? Even before I do that, what I think I want to do is I do kind of want to just make everything over here just kind of pink. Trust me, it'll look really good. Okay, and then the trim as well, just right through here. It's going to be just a little bit pink near the edges. All right. And I think that's it. Like, with it being white, it should probably absorb a little bit more pink. I might add some more colors later. You know, much like I did with the snowman and snow and Pippa's drawing. But not yet. Not yet. So yeah, for today, I think I'll just, you know, do a little bit of work on the hair here. Or I guess I could also do that little halo. But no, I think I want to do the hair. And I'll go from there. The halo goes behind her head, so I think I want to finish off her head first, and also I like doing faces. So next time we're going to do cute grandma face. It'll be great. Okay. Let's see, how do I want the shading on the hair to shake out here? What does she look like? Okay. You know, as much as I like to do this kind of thing for perspective, I don't think I can make that work here. I gotta... The impression of her face will change too much. So I'll do it like this. And we'll get some little loose strands in there at some point. And this artist draws a lot of little thin strands, so I'll be sure to add some more loose strands than I normally would at the end here. But for now, I'd like to just kind of get some basics in there. Veil a little in the way. So I'm just gonna hide it for a second. It's amazing how much older she looks with short hair. It really is. But I actually still think she looks really cute like this. I like this hairstyle. Okay. Let's see, how does the bang go into the hair here? Yeah, it just kind of tucks into it. Gently little bit of tucking. And I want to figure out the structure that I'm going for in the hair before I smooth it out. Just to make sure that everything is looking right, and I want one more shadow color here. For the hair vent. I want to be able to differentiate between shadow and a big hair vent. Okay. There we go. That should look pretty good once it's smooth. Yes, I approve. Oh, I don't have the layer locked. Okay, let's fix that. I approve. There we go. That is much easier to read than what I had before. Much, much easier to read. And so now we can see the difference between this hair that's just kind of being swept over on the side here and the big old hair vent that's coming up and around. Okay. So smooth out this a little. Okay. Still just, you know, looking over at references, so, you know, expect me to just be like, okay, a lot. Because, you know, I'm figuring it out. It's important to figure it out. I want some shadows up here. So I'm just very carefully studying the shape of her hair. All that good stuff. I'll add a few strands now. I could add them at any time. But, you know, now seems okay. There we go, and I think this makes the bang look like it's going back. I'll add a little bit of separation here. Continuation of hair vent, I guess. Just to make sure I get the impression right there. Okay. Smooth out the back, down and around. Okay, and I think that's good for the little hair vent there. Unfortunately, this is like the only place I can actually see what the hair vent looks like. So I need to kind of scroll up there in order to take a look. All of the references I see on the internet have her veil on, and it's really hard to see it with the veil on. Really, really hard. Because while it is translucent, it's not that translucent. It's still pretty opaque. So if I want to make sure I capture it right, I gotta find the reference images where it's not on, and they just don't exist. Ah, the downside of liking people from a microcorpo. Life is hard sometimes. Okay. I just want to perfect this hole. This is very important to just understanding the structure of the hair. And we'll let it hang down just a little. I still want it to curve around her face a bit. But that's sufficient, I think. So let's go ahead and start kind of figuring out where some of the shadows are going to go. I think this is more like the side of her hair here. Maybe not, actually. No. I think this looks okay. And then this is kind of the front. Put some shadows on the side here, because I think it looks nice. Then here we'll have some shadows kind of coming out, and I think here needs to be darker. We'll have some shadows coming out. No, I think I like that part light. Okay. Add a couple of strands through here, just because I think it'll look nice. And I can be a little strandier than I normally am here, so this works. And then these strands will kind of stick out on a front. This part kind of comes out. And then I still think that we do see some of the side of these little strands here. So I'll still do something like that, and I'll send them up. So we'll get some hair texture kind of like this. And then there'll be some highlights there, so I think this is sufficient here. And let's see, what is going on there? Okay. So here. Okay. I understand. We get something like this. Send the shadows up. This goes all the way up here, and there'll be some shadows kind of coming out of this piece here. All right. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I think it's very structurally sound, and it shows most of the details. I think I probably want some light spots through this. So I'll put in some strands through there, and same here. This side is going to be mostly in shadow, though. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can get behind that. That looks pretty good. So that'll probably be the first thing I work on next time. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on all the layers, though. Let's get the halo out of her eyes. I might need to adjust its location a little bit too, but yeah, sure. Let's put it a little off to the side there. But yeah, there we go. Things getting smooth. So next time is going to be hair. Yeah, lots of hair. Actually, you know what? No, not lots of hair, because I'm not doing the braids. I'm only doing her front hair. So hair and face. Sounds good to me. It's already looking really good, though. I so look forward to doing some of that, because I mean the difference in just what I did today is already huge, so that makes me happy. So let's see. Current plan. Current plan. I'm gonna finish her, so you know we're gonna get the do my usual order where I get the head and then I start on the upper body and stuff and all that great stuff. And I need to turn the sun on too. I just like seeing how things look at the end. It makes me happy. And yeah, once she's all done, I'll do the lighting on her. Then I'll get these curtains. And then I can get the balcony. And then we can get all the background stuff. I make it sound so simple when I'm just looking at the overview here. But, you know, hopefully I can do all that in a couple of weeks. We'll see how much I fixate on random things. I probably did a little bit today because I didn't really understand the structure of the veil. And it took me a little while to figure it out. Also, I gotta say that she just looks so different without the braids and stuff. I actually really like short hair Memoria. I think she is super cute like this. It's true. It's simple, just not easy. I think that's a good way to look at it. Alright. But there we go. I think this one will be pretty good when it's done. I'm looking forward to it. And I have a couple of good ideas for some stuff to do after this. Like I said, we're probably going to get a lot of variance stuff here because I'm kind of interested in what they're doing. And I am very curious to see the company's direction. I'm just thinking about it because right now, I'd say they probably go harder on kayfabe than the average VTuber, but that's not a high bar. And I'm wondering how they will continue to integrate world building and their silly faction things. I say silly, I don't mean it derogatory. I think it's great. And how they end up integrating some of that, so... But you know, even just as regular VTubers, I think they do great. So... here's hoping they like having some shiny new art. Because they're gonna get some, probably a lot. Alright. But this is where I will stop for today, so thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. Also, if you happen to be here, let me know if you like having the chat on screen at all times. I changed that. I might make it a little bit smaller to compensate, but before I had it so it would disappear after a little while. So, you know, let me know how you feel about that. But I will see y'all tomorrow. Go make cool stuff. It'll be great.